Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, okay, thank you. So the first hand information you can get about PCM into their directly from their website, PowerSim Tech. You can go anytime into this website and can find the trial version of the student version of the software. It has a limited edition software, so you can give it a first-hand use from this one, and you can find a lot of tutorials, video tutorials here. You can simply go here and find a lot of video tutorials that can give you a very much vast experience and vast idea how to use this and how to simulate a different kind of circuit. But the software I'm going to show you today, there's not the student trial version. Actually, it is a very old version, but the professional version. So all the options are available here, though with not the latest version, latest modules which are available in the latest model of the PCM. But anyway, that would be suffice for our simulation. And if you want or feel interested to use that software, I can give you a link from where you can download that one. Let's go back to the main software. So once you started the software, you will get a page like this. Okay, so I'm going to start designing any circuit in PCM directly so that you can get accustomed to it. Take a new page. So this is your design page where you can design any circuit as you wish. I cannot stress more that I must say the PCM is very fun software. It's not a big deal to learn PCM. It is very user friendly and convenient to design any circuit and simulate it in this environment. And simulating is quite a fun. You will get it once you started using it. I guess many of you already know that multi-sim software for circuit simulation, which is available for National Instrument. That's also very popular and convenient. So the platform or the interfaces of PCM is pretty much close to that multi-sim. So those who are already familiar with the multi-sim, they might find it very much easy to handle. So how to design a circuit in PCM? So you can see here. So all the menus and tabs are given here. Very conventional one. You can find all the stuff available, all the modules available from this tab. So all the modules are available under this element. So if you go to the element, you can find all the modules under the power tab, RLC branches. These are all the elements available. Three-phase element to single-phase element. There are switches, all kind of electronic switches like transistor, BJT, MOSFET, all are available here. Transformers are available here. There are magnetic element. Apart from electrical circuit, you can also simulate magnetic circuit. That's quite a good thing to do. You can design a magnetic circuit by yourself and can simulate it and can calculate the flux linkages, the magnetic force drop, everything. Op amp, you can find a lot of few motor models as well, like squirrel cage induction motor, DC machine, brushless DC motor, synchronous motor. So all kind of motors are available here. The mechanical load, if you're going to run and simulate a motor, then definitely you're going to need some mechanical load. So you can also attach this mechanical load. Different kind of mechanical loads are here. Gearboxes are here to speed reduction, speed increase. So there are speed sensor, torque sensor. There are thermal module as well. So these are the thermal modules. That means it will give you real life real life scenario, so that you can get the practical knowledge from simulations. It's like if you run a simulation using a diode under ideal condition, there will be no temperature effect. So you are not considering that when the diode is conducting, the temperature might rise. You just assume that the temperature of the diode remain constant, but in practical case, the temperature of the diode will rise. Same goes for IGBT or any other electronic device. So these are the models they are mentioning as thermal model. That means that will increase the change the parameter of these modules while you are running. So that's quite like close to, but pretty much close to real life practical application. And these are the renewable energy module available. Solar module and wind turbine modules are also available here. Apart from power, you can get a lot of control modules as well. You can design your own control algorithm or control module for the control system. So if you are going to use any power converter, definitely you are going to apply some kind of controller or design some controller. Then you can definitely design this kind of controller using all these modules. There are digital controller as well as traditional analog controller you can get. There are sensors, probes. Under the probes, you can get the voltmeter, ammeter, all kind of wattmeter, and the oscilloscope. So the simulation platform is pretty much like a practical one. So when you are running, designing a circuit in practical, if you want to see the voltage current, definitely you are going to use the multimeter or voltmeter, ammeter, or oscilloscope to check and to visualize the signal. The same goes here. You are going to use this instrument like a practical case scenario to check the voltage current. There are different kind of source like voltage source, battery, three-phase AC source, different kind of non-linear source as well. So you can define or you can modify or manipulate your own voltage source. If you don't like to be a simple sine wave voltage generator, if you like something else, some different kind of signal, you can do it here. There are different models available. You can design and program your own source. So these are the basic equipments available, and there's a shortcut on the below where you can see some items which are more and more times very frequently used. Their shortcuts are available here, so you can easily drag and drop these items. So now we can start the very simple circuit simulation. Before starting a circuit, one thing you must remember, the thing is the simulation control, how you are going to run this simulation, that is defined by the simulation control. So in every simulation, don't forget to put this simulation control element here. Otherwise, the simulation will not run. So the simulation control, what is it? It simply defines that how the simulation should run, how the internal equation should be solved. That's kind of indication. So this is a time step. By default, it remains in the microsecond range, and this is total time. So how long your simulation should run, that is the time. If you mention as 0.01, that means your simulation will run only for 0.01 second, and after that you will get your result. There is another point, that is free run. If you put a click here, free run, that means the simulation will not stop unless you stop forcefully. There's a stop button as well. So if you are running the simulation in the free run mode, it will continuously run. You can do all kind of thing in between the simulation. You can change the parameter and see the result. You can turn on, turn off, everything you can do and check the result in between. That's the privilege is given in this free run mode. So later we will see how they actually act in while you're running a simulation. Okay, fine. So let's start with a simple source, simple circuit, simple AC circuit. Simple voltage source. I put a ground here. Then might be a couple of resistor, inductor, and a capacitor as well. Fine. So all the elements are already here. Now I'm going to connect them. You can see from here, this tab, this pen-like icon, that is actually wire. So you can simply connect them like this. It's very easy. Okay, so my circuit is done. Now I have to set the parameter. What will be the values of these different elements I have been using in the simulation? So this is the voltage source. Double clicking it will give you this window or this pop-up window. You have to set the parameter here. Say for example, I am setting the voltage 10 volt. This is the peak amplitude. Set the frequency as 10 hertz. You can set your phase angle, DC offset, or T start, everything you can define here. If you want to know more about this module, how to set the parameter, you can click on the help. That will give you in details. what are the meaning of different variables and how to set the parameters, what will be the response. So everything is given here. So you can get a very good idea about this model, how to use. Okay, you set the parameter. Now, say for example, you want to display this parameter value in beside this model. So there's a display tab. So now what you want to see, better I want to see the peak amplitude and the frequency. You click it here. So you can see here that the amplitude and the frequency is being given. Better don't get confused. I better don't want to see the frequency, only the amplitude should be fine. So now it's showing the amplitude. If you click only this button, this rectangle, double clicking it will give you the access to this variable, so you can change it not only now but also during running simulation. So you can change by clicking the up or down arrow, or you just click it here and use your keyboard up or down arrow. So I'm just clicking up arrow and down arrow to change the value. It goes for all the parameters. All the parameters main value you can change in this way. Resistance 12 ohm. Okay, fine. Say for example, the inductance value, I want to put 10 millihenry. If you want to millihenry, then just put a M. If it's a microhenry, put a U, just like that. For kilo, put K. Have a capacitance. Let's put a little bit higher capacitance value, 1000 microfarad. Okay, so my circuit is now ready. Now I want to run, but if I run the circuit, I will not get any value because there is no sensor in the network. It will run. So for example, okay, the simulation is complete, but I will not get any result because which value I want to see, which parameter I want to measure, there's no indication. I need to put something so that I can get the value. So what you can do here, you can put this emitter, and also you can put this voltmeter. So this is not voltmeter, this is voltage probe. So it will give you instantaneous value while running the simulation, and this will measure the current. So now this run the simulation. Okay, fine. Now you can see we get two variables, I1 and V2. Just add, it will plot. Remember, we have run the simulation for only for 0.01 second. That's why you're getting up to 0.01 second. So now I want to increase the simulation time period. Better I want to run it for 5 seconds. Okay, fine. So now you can see we got the current. This is the sinusoidal current. I want to add the voltage as well. So this is the tab. So another thing I want to mention, this is the scene view. You can see the scene view icon from here as well. Run scene view. Scene view is the visualization part or visualization window of this software where you can do necessary analysis on all kind of signal. So this is the platform for designing your circuit and run the simulation, and this is the platform where you can visualize the different kind of signal and do different kind of manipulation on them. You can show later that what kind of manipulation you can do later. So this is the I1 voltage. Now say for example I want to add another curve. Okay, got another space here. Now I want to see V2, add V2 here. Fine, that's the voltage. Let's say for example I want to change the style of this curve. So just double click it, go to the curve. I want to make the color green. Also want to make it thicker, just like that. You can change the grid. Go to the screen. I want to hide the grid or hide the access. Everything can be done here. You can change the font as well. Change the font style, change the font size. Everything you can do from here. That's all. Now say for example I want to see the current and voltage in the same figure. So which figure you want to, I mean you want to see dual dual signal in the same figure. How you can do this? You just simply click this figure, select it, and this is the icon where you can add another curve. So from here you can see already I1 is there because you have selected I1 this curve. Now you want to add V2. Add V2, that will give you two signal at the same platform, both I1 and V2. Both signal you can see from here. Say for example, now you want to zoom some portion. This is the zoom portion. Zoom tab. You can zoom from here. You can expand. You can compress. And now you want to go back to the previous stage. Just simply redraw. Okay, fine. Now you want to see only from 0 to 1 second. This portion you want to see so that it can be magnified. Okay, you can set the x and y axis parameters from here. Go to x, 0 to 5 second, put it 1. It will only show from 0 to 1 second of simulation data. So now you can see more clearly. Same goes for the y-axis. You can change the y-axis. By default it's auto scale, but you can change the scaling as well. How far you want to see, like that. Okay. Now, say for example, you want to do some manipulation, like you want to see the power. So in order to get the power, you have to multiply voltage and current. How can you do that? It's also very easy. For example, I want to do it here. Okay, double click it here. You already get V2 here. So what you can do, you can see this area, and there is some button. Here you can do some mathematical operation on the signal and can visualize the result later. So I1, I'm taking I1 here and do the multiplication to get the power into V1. So I1 into V1. Now I want to add it in the variable for display. So now the display show V2 and the multiplication of I1 and V2. How does it look like? Okay, that's fine. So the red one is the V2, I mean the voltage, and the blue one is showing the multiplication of the product of I1 and V2. That means the power. So this is the power. Now, say for example, you want to find the peak point. What is the value of this peak point? There are options available here. You just simply click it here, global maximum. So there is a bar, tracer bar come here. You just shift it, move in any direction. That will give you the value at certain point. So for example, I want to check the current here, the peak current. What is the time? So the time is now 3.34 seconds. The value of I1 is 2.81 into 10 to minus 2 ampere. V2 value is given, and the product is also given. So all the values at this particular point is given. If you want to check automatically the maximum point, that will help you to get the maximum point. So this is the maximum point of this voltage. If you want to check the maximum point of this current, then you have to click again on the maximum. Okay. Also, next maximum, minimum point, those are also available. You can go like that. Now, say for example, you want to find the average value. Whatever signal you have been seeing within this domain from 0 to 1 second, you want to find the average value of the signal. Simply click on this average. So now it's showing the average value. I1, V2, V2. So these are all the average values showing. It's because it is sine wave, so definitely the average will be close to 0. So it's pretty much close to 0. You can calculate the RMS value as well. Click on the RMS. Now it's giving you all the RMS value. The RMS value of the current, RMS value of the voltage, and the RMS value of this power as well. You can also simply calculate the power factor. So it's showing the power factor now. And you can also calculate the real power, the reactive power, and the total harmonic distortion. For TSD, you have to set the what is the fundamental frequency, 10 Hz, then it will calculate the total harmonic distortion. So this is the total harmonic distortion of different signal. So this is the window where you can do all kind of signal manipulation, signal addition, all kind of processing. Once you've done this, you finish this, then you can simply convert this file into a different kind of file format. So you can save it as this SimView file. If you save it in the SimView file, you can do the manipulation on the same result later as well. It will be saved as a data. So you can further do it another kind of processing or operation later if you save it as this SimView file. This is a SimView file format. You can also save it as a text file. If you save it as a text file, you also can later regain this data and do this kind of manipulation. It is a different file format how you can save this file. If you want to take a image, then what you can do, you can take a printout. There's a print setup options are available. You just do the print setup as per your requirement, the page size and others, and you go for this print. If you print it, that will give you a PDF file. Suppose A, I'm going to save it in the desktop as A. So that's the way you can save your work. So this is the file of being saved. So before saving, you can just thicken the signal because it's very much look like very light. So you can make it more thick. You can change the color as well and can use for further processing. So these are very handy for research work. You can get different kinds of result and do the manipulation, save it, and can publish it later. So that's the thing you can do here in SimView platform. All the tabs are also available. You can perform the effective fast Fourier transform to see the harmonic content. And you can also add manual point in this graph, like you want to add text. Okay, fine. Say for the voltage. I have to say voltage here, so it will be okay, voltage. Now, say for example, you can add a line. You can add line. You can add dotted line, arrow line, anything you want. Everything can be done. Everything is possible here. Let's get back to the PSIM platform now. So this is the simple demonstration of how to solve a simple circuit in PSIM. So as long as we have run the simulation up to 5 seconds, that's the using the simulation control. Now, say for example, I want to do it in a more intuitive way. Like I want to have more control on the simulation. I want to turn on this source. I want to put a switch here. So I want to turn on and turn off the switch anytime I want. And I also want to see the responses. So how that can be done? In that case, you have to do it. Click in the free run mode. Personally, I prefer this very much, free run mode, because you will get a lot of control over the simulation. So let's do it now. So now it becomes more like practical. So how you're going to get the values. So you can see this emitter show pros value during simulation. You have to click it here. So it will give you the instantaneous value during the simulation. Same goes for the voltage curve. It will give you instantaneous value during simulation. Fine. Okay. So run it now. Fine. It's showing the current, it's showing the voltage, but the thing is, these are instantaneous probe. They are only giving you instantaneous value, not any RMS value. But you actually want to check the RMS value. But it's only giving you the instantaneous value. So how to do that? We got the go to the probe. You can see from here AC voltmeter and AC ammeter. Simply put the AC ammeter here. I'm not going to put the AC voltmeter because it follows the same. Better discard it. Now we got an AC ammeter, which can give you the, okay, for AC ammeter you have to set the frequency because this is AC equipment, so definitely it should know at what frequency, what kind of system is going to be used in. So the frequency is 10 hertz, and the cutoff frequency should be less than this operating frequency, but I put it 1 hertz and show pose value during simulation. So now we can check. Okay, so now it does make sense because the current you can see 0.29 ampere. That means this is the RMS value of the current. If you see the current here, the blue one, the RMS value would be exactly like that. So as of now, you have only see these values only, but now you want to see the wave shape. How you are going to do that? It's also very fun and quite easy. To do that, you're gonna need oscilloscope. This is the oscilloscope. There's one channel oscilloscope, single channel and double channel oscilloscope available here. Taking a 2-channel oscilloscope, channel A, channel B. By default, all the oscilloscope in the PC, you don't need to connect the ground pin separately because the ground has already been internally grounded. The ground is the reference point for all kind of oscilloscopes. So you only need to connect the point like A and B. So if you connect the point A, that means channel A will measure the voltage of this point with respect to ground. And if you connect point B here, then it will measure the voltage of this point with respect to ground, not the voltage difference in between these 2 points. But if you want to measure the voltage difference in between these 2 points, then something else you're gonna need, which we can demonstrate later. So now, say for example, I want to put more control, then why not put a switch? Go to here, switch. There are different switch, kind of switch available, bi-directional, so push button. I want to put a push button here. Fine. Okay. Now, what about current? How to measure the current? If you want to measure the current, then definitely you need to break some portion of the network to put a sensor. So this is the sensor. They call it the current sensor. Okay, there's a, you can change the change the side from here, up, down, or up. Put it here and simply connect. So channel A will show the voltage of this point with respect to ground. That means that this is the supply voltage, and channel B will show the current, and this current will be converted into voltage, and the magnitude will be same. Whatever current is flowing, the same representation of in terms of voltage you will see in this oscilloscope. And the switch, okay, the switch, I want to see the switch state. This is a switch state, you can change from here. So you click it here, you can turn on, turn off anytime you want. Okay, so circuit is now ready for simulation. This is the oscilloscope, is very close to like the practical one you already use in the lab. You can change the time base from here. You can change the voltage from here, voltage division. You can set the trigger. You can visualize any, you can change the color as well. So still you are not seeing anything is because our switch is off. Now I want to turn on the switch. Let's see what happens. Fine. We already get the signal. Looks good. So the red one, channel A, is showing the voltage. It's the supply voltage. The peak value is 8. You can see from here the peak value is 8 because the division is 5 volt. It was close to 8. And the current, the blue one, channel B, is showing the current. 1 volt per division. That means it's less than 0.5. Actually, it's like whatever we have seen earlier. So this is the voltage current. Now, say for example, you want to turn it off. Simply turn it off. But still you're seeing some voltage, right? It's because the capacitor is being charged. We have turned off the switch in such a moment the time capacitor was charged. That's why still the capacitor is being charged. Now we are getting the capacitor voltage at channel B. That's why. Let's start it on again. Fine. Now, say for example, I want to change the voltage, supply voltage is changing. What is the consequences? You can see I'm simply putting the up and down arrow of my keyboard to change the supply voltage. And it's changing accordingly. Very fine. I have to change the resistance. Same way. Let's see what does it do. You will see if I change the resistance, the circuit become more resistive in nature. So the current is becoming more resistive. Like the phase difference between the voltage and current is decreasing. Now I want to change the inductance. Increasing the inductance will make it more inductive. That will make the current lagging. Right now it's more like capacitive in nature because of the high capacitive value. If I make it more inductive in nature, you can see the current is becoming more inductive because the current is lagging the voltage by 90 degrees. You can see it from here. That is approaching the 90-degree lagging because I'm increasing the inductance and the network is becoming more inductive. So similarly, you can change all the parameters in between the simulation. You can simply pause it if you want, then run it again, or you can simply stop the simulation. That's all. And you can start the simulation. Say for example, you are only using one oscilloscope here. You suddenly some idea came to your mind. You want to see that what is the voltage at this point, or what is the voltage at this point. You don't need to put another oscilloscope here. You can simply put this probe. You can see display voltage current. It's very convenient. Just click it here and put it. That will give you a window. Very impressive. Okay, fine. So this is the point. It's showing the voltage at this point. I need to see the voltage at this point. Click it. Okay. First, is giving you this voltage. Same like real life lab demonstration. You put in a oscilloscope, you put in a voltmeter ammeter, it will give you the result. Now, how to process the signal further? You got this simulation, the data or the simulation result already been stored in the database. So now you want to transfer this data into the SimView. How do you do it? It's very simple. You can see here the save button. What you are going to do is simply click on the save and save the file. Let's say, for example, I'm naming it A and save. Now the window is come. So what are the variables you want to see in the SimView platform? Channel A, scope A variable I need to see. Add it here. Okay. That's the channel A result. I want to see channel B as well. So I want to add this one. That's channel B. I need to change the color. Change the thickness, make it more thick. I want to add some symbol like circle, rectangle. Better try with star. Okay. It's not visible because of this thickness of the line. Better do it here. We can simply add this star. You will see a star line, or you can add some rectangle. Okay. So this is the way you can demonstrate the result. So now it's showing the result from 0 to 0.2 second. You can also set this 0.1. You want to see just like that. So this is the basic circuit simulation thing you can follow, how to demonstrate, how to simulate the circuit. So please, I have forgot to mention one thing. If you have any queries at any time, you are most welcome to ask me anytime. No need to hesitate. I prefer it this way, that if you feel any question at any time, just let me know, ask. So is the simple circuit solution. Let's get back to the power electronic circuit simulation. How are we going to do that? I guess all of you are pretty much clear about the buck converter, boost converter, or the chopper, which are used for DC-DC conversion to step down the DC voltage. So demonstration of a simple buck converter will be pretty much easy to understand. Anyway, before going to, I guess we got 1 more hour left. So before going to the buck converter simulation, I like to demonstrate some thyristor circuit simulation, how to simulate a thyristor. So say for example, we want to design a single phase half wave control rectifier. So what the circuit will look like? Take a voltage source. I need a thyristor, and there's a resistor. So this is the basic circuit, and put the ground. Make the connection. Okay, we are done with it. If you want, you can put another switch here, manual switch, if you like. I'm not going to that because that's not a big deal. Say the value, put it 10 volts. The frequency could be 20 hertz in this case. You can take any value as you wish. So clicking on thyristor, that will give you the access to set the different parameters of the thyristor. You can define the voltage drop. By default, it was all the parameters is 0. That means it's an ideal thyristor. There will be no voltage drop. So you can give some values here. Like I want a voltage drop, which is like 1 volt or 2 volt. Holding current, you can mention. So for example, I am putting holding current 1 milliampere. Latching current, it should be 0.5 2 milliamperes, say for example. If you don't put these values, it's okay, fine. Still, it will be work. It will work. Then put the resistance 12 ohm. I want to make it 10 ohm. Okay, that's it. The circuit is ready. So the supply is AC, and we're expecting half wave DC here with a control manner. That means you want to change the firing angle to fire the thyristor and get different kind of output voltage. So in order to check that, you're gonna need oscilloscope as well. I'm putting the oscilloscope here. Channel A will show you the input voltage. Channel B will show you the output voltage. Okay, that's the basic circuit. Before going into that, I want to show you without this thyristor how the circuit will act. Another thing you can do, if you want to remove any item for the time being only, you can simply click on this item, click the right button, disable it. So this item is disabled. Now current will not pass through this item. You can simply make a bypass network. What I'm going to do is actually showing what if I put a diode instead of the thyristor, what will be the response? Then I'm going to replace the diode with the thyristor. That's the thing I'm going to do. So now you can see the thyristor is disabled. It's simply a diode rectifier circuit, half wave rectifier circuit. If I run it, okay, does it make sense? I guess you might be confusing. Why is it showing like that? Actually, you are seeing both voltage and current. You at the same window is the same scaling. That's why it's getting like this. If you change it like this way, now we can see. So the red one is the voltage, supply voltage, AC, and the output is the negative. Output is the DC, half wave rectified DC. You can also change their offset to set the offset to make a distinguishing between the input output. So what you can do, better keep it the same way. You change the offset value only, so it will shift. Okay, that's fine. So this is the input, this is the output. So this is the uncontrolled rectifier because you cannot control the diode here. You cannot change that when the diode should conduct. You cannot change the output voltage here. That's the limitation here. So if I replace this diode with this thyristor, that will give you much more control. You can change the firing angle and can make the thyristor conduct or turn on anytime you want. Let's do it. Also, we want, say for example, we want to measure the DC voltage. Go to the other tab, to the probe, DC voltmeter. Okay, it's because now we are getting a DC, so why not put a DC voltmeter to measure the DC output? That will give you the DC output voltage. Okay, so I'm not getting any sound from you. So is everyone following, or is there any question from your side?
Yes, sir, we are following you.
Okay, okay. So how can we do that? So now your thyristor is ready. If you run it, let's see what happens. Oh, you see, it's giving some error because you're not giving the control voltage to the thyristor. How the thyristor should turn on, turn off? You need the thyristor get pulse. Now you have to make this circuit, which we can say the control circuit, which will generate this control pulse for this thyristor. And the thing I will stress more that always remember, if you are going to use any electronic switch in PC, you're gonna need this different an additional model than the switch controller. This is nothing but a simple diode looking structure, but it's not a diode. So if you are going to use this MOSFET at the gate, you just simply put this switch controller beforehand. Then you apply whatever control voltage you want. Same goes for the IGBT or transistor as well. Actually, this is called the on-off controller. You can get more details about this. This is actually ensure that you don't need any additional driving circuit for this IGBT to run this switching device to run into the switching mode. Because you all know that if you want to run a transistor like BJT, MOSFET, or IGBT, if you want to run it as a switch, so definitely you have to make it work in the switching zone and the saturation zone, not in the active zone or the linear active zone or the saturation. Sorry, for MOSFET, it should be operated in the linear zone. For BJT, it should be in the saturation zone. So you have to ensure that, and for that, special driving circuitry is required for practical life demonstration. But this module actually eliminates the need of any driving circuitry. It will do all the things by itself. Only thing you have to make sure that you give the control signal directly to this gate through this. It will do all the remaining things for you. It will ensure that the IGBT or the whatever switch you are using, that will definitely switch, not will go into the active mode. That's the thing. Same goes for the thyristor. For this thyristor, you're gonna need another this kind of gate controller. You will find this gate controller in the switch controller. Go to the others and find switch controller. This is the on-off controller, which just a few moments ago I show you. That's used for IGBT, MOSFET, and BJT. And this is the alpha controller. So this is the thing which is going to control the alpha. I mean the firing angle for your thyristor. Okay. So what does it do? If you double click it, you go here and you can see there are some parameters it's asking. So it's asking what is the frequency. Actually, what this alpha controller do, it will generate the firing angle by itself. You don't need to worry about the firing angle, because in the sine wave you have seen at what time the thyristor should get a turn on pulse. In order to do that, it does need to know the zero crossing point of the sine wave, so that accordingly it can generate the firing angle. It does need to know at what point the sine voltage is now. So those are the thing is being done by this model. You don't need to worry about further. You just need to set this alpha controller accordingly and give a firing angle value. It will calculate everything else and generate the firing angle for this thyristor. So at first, what you're going to need, the system frequency is 20 hertz here. So you're going to need to set the system frequency 20 hertz and the pulse width. So when you're giving a pulse, firing pulse to a thyristor, what should the pulse width? Is by default is 120 degree. You can make it like something 20 or 30 degree. You can see it later how does it change the pulse width. For further details, you can go into the angle controller block help. So now you can see what are the different terminals. This is the top terminal is the output terminal. This is the enable. So here you need to give an just simple voltage to make it enable. Otherwise, it will be disable. This is syncing, so that this gate controller does know when the zero crossing points are arrived or achieved, and this is the alpha. So you are going to give the firing angle alpha to here. In PSIM, whatever the variables you're going to need at different time, you can do all the things by simple voltage source, adding a simple voltage source. Say for example, you want to give firing angle here. This is the firing angle terminal. Okay, this means the firing angle is 100. It's very easy. You don't need to worry about much. You simply change the voltage source value. That's actually replicating the firing angle. What about the values? Is actually the angle controller is taking this value as a firing angle. That's all. You don't have to bother about what is the voltage source, current source, whatever it is. Simply put a voltage source. This will do the necessary things for you. There are different kinds of voltage sources available. You can go here, source, and go to the voltage. This grounded DC circle, these sources are more convenient for this kind of thing. So I'm putting this on here instead of this voltage source. Again, though these voltages are the same, it's all are the same. I'm just avoiding to make it simple. Don't want to make it complex. That's why I'm trying to this way. Okay, I'm setting the voltage. Click it here so that it already display. Okay, firing angle 45 degree by default. I put it here. Okay, and this is the enable terminal. I need to enable. That means I need to put another voltage here. Any voltage source you can use. It could be 1 volt or whatever voltage it is. It doesn't matter. Just simply need a voltage. Okay, so now this angle control is enabled. Firing angle 45 degree. Now it does need to know what is the signal, because accordingly it needs to create the firing angle. The syncing source, syncing signal, it does need to know how to do that. We can check it from the voltage here. This is the voltage sensor. Does look like op-amp, but it's simply a voltage source. Don't get yourself confused. It means that the voltage between two terminals. This is not, you can see here. So you can assume it as a positive terminal, and this is the ground, this is the negative terminal. So it will simply give you the voltage. The same voltage you are getting it here, it will give you the voltage here. And then you're gonna need a comparator. And make the ground. Okay, fine. Okay, so now you might wonder what this arrangement will do, especially this arrangement. What is the necessity of this? Let me run this and see what is it doing. Before that, I need to disable this, otherwise it will show me an error. Disable this and check the voltage here. can see actually what is it doing. It is actually generating a square wave, indicating what are the zero crossing point. So same goes like this. So whenever the voltage crossing this zero crossing point and going up during this portion, you are getting this positive pulse. While in the negative portion, you are getting zero. So now you are pretty much sure which time your thyristor should turn on, because the thyristor is in should be in forward bias, is only unidirectional. If you give a control pass to this thyristor in the negative half cycle, it will not turn on. You should only give the control pass to the positive half during the positive half cycle. It does need to know. So this angle controller will now know when it should give a control pulse. That's why this arrangement has been made here. It does make sense. Okay. So now make it enable. Make it enable. Fine. We are pretty much at the stage. Fine. Now your angle controller is ready. It does know when it should generate the pulse, at least from the which interval, and it does know what is the firing angle, and it is enabled. So you are all set. Let's check. Oh, nice. It's already started working. Firing at 45 degree. I want to fire it at 0 degree. That should give you complete wave. Yes, fine. You're getting it. Now I'm increasing the firing angle. So you can see it's clipping up. At clipping up at 90 degree, it will be like 50%. Okay, fine. Just 90 degree firing angle. So we're getting 50% of it. And accordingly, your output voltage is changing here. You can see it from here. It does quite make sense. This is your DC output voltage. That means if you take the average of this voltage, you will get it. If you go beyond 90 degree, let's see what will happen. Output will go, zero. Yeah. Now the converter is giving you zero output. So that's it. That's how you very simply and easily can design this thyristor control rectifier, can control it, and can see the result. How is it showing? Okay, that's one thing. It's got a lot of mathematical tool as well. You can do some other kind of very fantastic mathematical processing here. Say for example, go to the control. These are the computational blocks. So you can see the multiplier, divider, square root, cosine. These are different blocks which will perform the mathematical operation for you. This is the RMS block which will show you the RMS. Better demonstrate some of this module. It will be easier for you. And let's try with multiplier block. Okay, so what is it doing actually? You see, this is the RMS block, this is the input, this is the output. So if you give an input here, this block will calculate the RMS value and give you the RMS value here. Let's see how does it work. Just connect this with the terminal. So I'm now, this block is supposed to calculate the RMS value of this voltage and give the output here. Now we put a probe here, or you can put an oscilloscope. Say suppose hello. Okay, I need to disable this one. thing is you cannot simply put it here because it does not know the reference point. You need to use this kind of voltage sensor. Now it will know what is the reference point. Okay, we are ready for it. So this is the RMS value of the supply voltage. Pretty much clear now. Does make sense. You can see the peak amplitude is 10 volt. So if the peak amplitude of a sine wave is 10 volt, multiply it by 0.707 or divided by √2, that will give you the peak RMS value. But there is something not working because the frequency, this RMS block does need to know what is the supply frequency. As the supply frequency in our case 20 hertz, you need to match it, then you will get the correct answer. Okay, fine, now it does make sense. That's the RMS value. It's not changing, it's because it's the RMS value. And accordingly, you can check the RMS value of the current as well and voltage of different point. Now, say for example, I want to check the power, calculate the power in a different way, not by the oscilloscope. So this is the multiplication block. So there are two terminals. So whatever values you give here, it will multiply and give the output here. So in PCM, any variable can be represented by voltage source. So you can simply take a voltage, any voltage you want, put a voltage source, set a value like 100. So it will get this 100 as a variable. If you put another variable here, so it will get it as the simple variable, and they will multiply and give you the result. That's that much simple. Now, say for example, I am discarding this portion, RMS block. I'm putting this multiplier block here. Okay, so the block is getting the voltage. It does know the terminal voltage. Now it does need to know another parameter. I'm putting a current sensor here. Make it in the reverse. Okay, fine. So it will check the current. So now what it will do, it will simply multiply the voltage with the current, and it will give you the instantaneous power. Let's see. What does it do? So that's the instantaneous power. It's not the RMS power. You can see it's the instantaneous power. If you want to see, visualize the power, how does it look like? Simply put it here. Okay. Oh, that's nice. So the power actually look like this. This is the power being supplied. Let's say I'm changing. How does it look? So accordingly, your power delivered to this register is being changed. Okay, done. Now let's go into more details with the buck converter. So as of now, is there any question from your side? Don't feel hesitate to ask any question at any time. You like in the more in the interactive way. So you need to construct a buck converter. What you're gonna need? You're gonna need this voltage, DC voltage source. You're gonna need this. I'm using this IGBT. You're gonna need inductor. Okay, inductor I will put it later. And the resistor. And the ground. So this is a simple buck converter circuit. Very simple. Now what you're gonna need? You're gonna need a control circuit to generate a control signal here, right? So I'm putting this one. This will generate a square wave on off signal. But earlier I told you already, in between these two, you're gonna need this get controller. This is the thing you need to remember every time you run a simulation using this electron switch. Now set the parameter. Say for example, I'm using a 48 volt DC system. From this 48 volt, I want a lesser voltage, like something like a 24 or 20 volt. Say for example, I want 24 volt. From this 48 volt system, I want 24 volt output at the load. The load is 12 ohm. Let us put it 20 ohm now. And IGBT, you can set the IGBT parameter here as well. And the saturation voltage, put it like 1 volt, something like this. Okay, fine. What about the switching signal? The switching signal peak to peak 1 volt, frequency 1 kilohertz, and duty cycle is 0.5. So that duty cycle, you know, the output of any buck converter is that input voltage multiplied by the duty cycle. So we can make a decision quite easily from here. The 48 volt multiplied by 0.5 duty cycle, that will give you 24 volt exactly, should give. To get that, I am putting a DC voltmeter, that will be better. Okay, it will show you the value, cutoff frequency. The cutoff frequency you can put always less. And I also want to see the output voltage at some point. Okay, I'm keeping it this way then. I want to show the input output at channel B, or the input would be AC. Let's go back to AC. Okay, fine. Everything is ready now. We can go for the simulation. Let's see what does it do. Fine. The time scale, you can see from here. So the red one is the input voltage, 48 volt DC, and the output is the switching. You can see the square wave. As it is moving is because the window is moving continuously. If you put a trigger, it will be fixed. Channel B or channel A trigger, you can set some trigger value also. Let's say for example like this. Now it will be fixed window. So that's it. Now, say for example, you want to change the voltage. What are you going to do? Just a little bit not user friendly at this in this configuration, because we have to stop the simulation and change the duty cycle to say for example 20%, and then run the simulation again. So now you are getting this. Okay, but still you are expecting some 24 volt DC, but you are getting this square wave. How we are going to make it simple DC then? Because we are not using any filter yet. We need to put some LC filter in between this switch controller and the output terminal. Then only we can get this precise DC signal. So let's put this LC filter. There should be capacitance. And most importantly, the freewheeling diode to ensure the continuous conduction mode. Otherwise, it will be discontinuous and it will not be a linear operation in that case. So this is the LC filter of this converter. As you are using switching signal of 1 kilohertz, so accordingly you have to set the parameter for this LC filter. I'm not going into details of the calculation, but I put it 100 millihenry, and the capacitor should be something like 220 microfarad. Let's see how does it act. Yes. Visible this thing. I think it's working now. If you can see, your duty cycle is 20%. So if you multiply 48 to 20%, it should give you something like 9 volt, very close to 9 volt. And you're exactly getting this 9 volt, and it's a much more smooth DC now. That's the real DC. So it is working actually. If you change the duty cycle, make it, let's say, make it 50%, you should get 24 volt. You can stop it, run the simulation. Yep, I think it's working. So you're getting 24 volt exactly as your theory says. It should be 24 volt, and you can see it from here. You're getting pretty much close DC signal. You can change the parameter while running the simulation to see what is the responses. Increasing the capacitance will make it much more smooth, or you can increase the inductance as well. It will also increase the smoothness of your DC. But if you increase the load resistance, I mean, not increasing, decrease it, there might be some impact. You can see now there is a fluctuation, there is a disturbance in the output because it's natural. Whenever you're changing load resistance, your output voltage is changed. But it's still though, we are running it in ideal condition. That's the thing. We're missing something which is not practical, which you will not find in practical case yet. The thing is, you are considering this 48 volt DC source as an ideal voltage source, which does not have any internal resistance. So you are expecting and you are giving 48 volt to the input of this DC-DC buck converter. Always, whatever the current the load is drawing, your terminal voltage is not changing. But that's not true. In practical, you will never get any this kind of voltage source. Whatever battery or whatever DC voltage source you take, there will be some internal resistance here, and that will cause some internal voltage drop. The moment you are increasing the current by the load, there will be voltage drop here. That will make the input voltage of this converter less, and ultimately you will not get the exact voltage as you desire. We will see it now. That's the real life problem. Put an internal resistance a very low value, say from the 0.1, or say for example for a significant figure, I just put just put 1 ohm. This is the source resistance, this is the load resistance. Now let's see how does it act. Okay, fine. Still the maybe the current is not that much, so you are getting very close to 24 volt, just like ideal case. Now say for example I'm decreasing the load resistance, that means increasing the current. So 24 divided by this load resistance will increase the current. Now I'm increasing the current. You can see now our converter is suffering. Yes, it's no longer giving you the exact voltage as you wish. So at this stage, when I'm setting the load resistance 5 ohm, as per the calculation and theory, as the converter is running at 50% duty cycle, you are supposed to get 24 volt here. Right, that's the theory and that's the truth. But now there's a voltage drop here, so you're not getting the exactly 24 volt. So if you want to get the 24 volt, what you have to do now? You cannot say that I will discard this source resistance from here. What you can do, you have to adjust the duty cycle. Maybe if you increase the duty cycle a little bit, make it 60%, that will do that will be suffice. Yes, 60%. If you put the duty 60%, actually it's overcompensated. Now it's showing 25 volt. Okay, so the thing is now you cannot say that your load resistance will remain constant all the time. It might change, so the current drawn by the load will change always. So if you want to get ideal output voltage here, you always need to check the output voltage and change the duty cycle accordingly. So you can do it by yourself manually, but you will not do that, because if you had a control system, why would you do that? You don't need to do it manually by yourself. You just simply design a PI control system, proportional integral control system, to do the job for you. The control system will check the voltage, and accordingly it will set the duty cycle for you, so that the voltage at the output terminal always remain the same, whatever you wished. So let's now design a control system, and this designing control system is another part of this PSIM, which is very much interesting. But before doing that, I cannot use this voltage square generator for the control system. I have to devise something else, something like this. This is a comparator. Okay, then I'm going to put a triangle wave generator. Say the triangle wave generator, that is the carrier frequency. Say for example, you set the value to 10. Frequency should be 1000 kilohertz. Now let's check how does it look like actually. And put another voltage. Let's put it this again. That would be a duty cycle. Make it no, sorry, that would be cycle number 5. Let's see how does it act. So this is the thing you are doing here. Now, if I change the amplitude, what will happen? You can see you are generating a square wave depending on this value. You are comparing this voltage, DC voltage, with this triangular wave, and accordingly generating this square wave pulse. So you can now, by changing this value of this voltage source, actually you can see you can changing the pulse width or the duty cycle. You can say you're changing the pulse width now. That's the thing you can do. Okay, so simply what I can do now, there is another thing available here. You can see from this tab, it's called label. It will be much more convenient to make a complex circuit much more simple. This label are just like 2 points connecting each other. Say for example, this is, I'm saying VC for V control. Okay, so if I connect this VC here and just copy it, paste it here, connect it, that means these 2 terminals are already shorted, internally shorted. I don't need to put a wire, manual wiring from here to here or from anywhere in the circuit. You can use a lot of level in your network, like putting here and there, so they will be internally shorted without showing the wiring. That's very convenient for a large, when you're going to design a very complex circuit. So now this control circuit is always given to this terminal, that is control IGBT. Let's see now what happens. Okay, so as is being controlled up to 10. So we are controlling comparing this 10 volt peak triangular wave with this one. So 5 means 50% duty cycle actually in this arrangement. If I go below, 4 means 40%, 3 means 30%, 2 means 20%. and we can check the signal. So this is the control signal, quite 50% duty cycle. So that's job half done. Now our circuit is ready for generating the control signal, which you have to access directly. You can change the voltage here, and it can generate the control signal for you. Now you need to design the control circuit, control system. So what are the kind of control system you're going to design here? You can see you got some control element, proportional block, PI block, and this summer block, and the limiter. These are a few blocks you might need. Maybe we're using PI block, that's why the K block is separately is not required. You can simply use this one. So let's make it this way. How we are going to do it now? So if you have a good idea about the control system, then you know that what are these different block means. This is my reference signal I'm giving. Now it's not a duty cycle, now it's the output voltage. Directly I will give output voltage 24 volt. So this controller will try to operate generate a control signal such a way that the converter output will be 24 volt. And this is the error signal. How you're going to get the error signal? You can simply get the signal from here. Better put it this way. So the output. Okay. So your summer network, you can double click and set the gain. The gain is on here. So it's getting reference value of 24 volt and taking the output as the signal, taking the output voltage and comparing this and making the required error signal, then putting it to this PI block. This is a proportional integral block. For details, you can go here and you can see how the PI controller transfer function is defined here. You can check set the gain as 1, time constant 0.01. It's need a little bit fine tuning to set the control parameter. Designing the control system is another part of this thing. If I get enough time, then I will try to touch that later. And this is the limiter block. So this is the range 10 volt. So your limiter should also get a range of 0 to 10. 0 to 10. So the control variable should carry within this range only. That's what is it saying. Now we can check. Done. So this is your control system, taking the reference signal input, taking the output, comparing it, putting into the PI block, limiter, then it's generating a voltage, reference control voltage. So the reference control voltage is generating, and this triangular, this is the block which is actually generating the control signal finally. Now let's see how does it act. Okay, so you're precisely getting 24, very close to 24 volt. Okay, fine. Let's me change the duty cycle now. Sorry, let me change the load resistance now and see what are the responses. You can see it's very quickly tracking the changes and increasing the duty cycle very fast to keep the output voltage at 24 volt. Pretty impressive. Whatever load resistance I'm giving, it's adjusting by itself. You can see from here, it's continuously adjusting the duty cycle to make the output voltage 24 volt. Very nice. Even I can change the supply voltage. Say for example, your battery is discharging, its supply voltage is getting low, but still you want a 24 volt at the output terminal. Can you do it? Yes. You see from here, supply voltage has changed a lot, only 30 volt now, but your control is producing higher duty cycle to make the output voltage equal to 24 volt. That's the very impressive thing about this PI controller. Whatever voltage you give, it will act like that. Say for example, now I want 30 volt as the output voltage. Instead of 24, I want 30. Okay. Yes. Now you are getting 30 volt. So whatever voltage you want, you just set it here. The control system will calculate the duty cycle itself and set the parameter and continuously track and monitor. You don't need to worry about anything else. That's the benefit of the control system. Now, what you can do, another thing, say for example, you have built a large circuit and it's become quite clumsy and very complex. So you need to find more space. What you can do is very simple. You can simply select this portion. Say for example, I want to make this circuit as a block, simple block. I don't want to demonstrate the whole circuit here. You select the circuit, click on the right button, create sub-circuit, create a name. There's PI controller. So that will create a PI subcontroller circuit for you. So now it became very simple. Okay, that's fine. If you double click, you can still enter in the main circuit. You can do the changes, necessary changes, do whatever you want. You can do it and do like this. Still the circuit will act in the same way. Okay, I think one thing we can do, instead of putting the control voltage here, we should put it in the main circuit. So we could also do that. So I want to put this control variable outside of this sub-circuit. And now I want to put this portion into the sub-circuit block. Sub-circuit, PI controller, save it. Okay, so circuit has already been saved here, so I need to put by another name. PI controller 2. Done. You run the simulation now. From here you can change the voltage, whatever voltage you want. The converter will give you that exactly the same voltage. You can change the load, put any load you want. It doesn't matter. The controller will do the tracking and regulating things for you. And for the controller, you can set the parameter. You can do some fine tuning later by using the smart control block available with this PCN. You can see this icon here. Run and export to smart control. That's one thing. So that's the thing you can do. Okay. I will start it later. So this is the basic thing how you are going to use this simulation, DC converter simulation. Now say for example, you want to fine tune the controller. In this circuit, we have designed this controller with some random values. We didn't do it fine tuning, just random values has done the thing. But if you want a fine tuning, then this smart control block is the thing which you can use. So simply you can click on the smart control. Now, what kind of control system you gonna need? Say for example, you're gonna need single loop DC converter. Okay, so you are going to use a buck converter, voltage control, voltage mode control. You can select from here. So this is the basic buck converter, and you can set the parameter, input voltage, output voltage, every parameter you can set it here. Actually, this block, this one is for your control system design. So if you set the parameter, it is okay. From here, you need to select okay, buck voltage control mode, regulator. What kind of regulator? Sensor. What kind of sensor? Voltage divider sensor. That is voltage divider. Set the values here. Make it okay. Hit okay again. Cost optimization should be better. Okay. Before making the final decision, you need to fine tune. Regulator. You have to select the regulator. Type 2, type 1, or PI. Set the PI value. Now this is the control system part. So those who are interested in designing control system, they can do this. This I guess this is called the body plot, from where you can define the stable operating point of any control system. Stability analysis, I would say. So this is the area from where you can change the point and see what is the response of this control system. This is called the fine tuning on the controller. You can check the plant transfer function, or only the feedback circuit transfer function, or any transfer function you want, which portion you can see their responses, whether they're stable or not. So you can select the point from here. You can see the response here because of the PI control, whether is it having some overshoot and oscillation or not, whether it is giving you stable output or not. So you can see if you change the point, this is the response. And accordingly, you can set the parameter of your control system network. I can change. This is create more oscillation. This looks pretty much good. Overshoot is still very high. We'll come into this. So this is the way where how you can fine tune the control system, and then exit. And from here, you can do three different things. You can export the transfer function only, or you can merge the transfer function with the existing one, or you can take this schematic, this control circuit schematic to the PC network and use it. In my PID controller, open it, components. Okay, fine. So this is your control circuit, which we have designed already. It is the smart control mechanism. This is the parameter file. This is another approach of setting the parameter. You don't need to put the values of individual parameter here. Same goes for the simulation. You can just make a parameter file, which is available available in some of this area, parameter file. Okay, you can find it later. There's a tab where this parameter file is available, where you can define every variable. So you can change it from here. No need to go for individual component. Fine. So this is your control circuit. The parameters has been set as per your fine tuning. Now what you need to do, you just put simply the power circuit. Whatever power circuit you have designed earlier, the buck converter, you put it here, connect accordingly, and you're done. Everything is done and dusted. This is the way how you're gonna simulate. And you also can, there are a lot of features available here. You can go to this folder. You will find a lot of examples under the examples tab. To go and you can simply check all the files, modules, and examples available. You can run them very easily. You can run simulate DC motor as well. This is a motor, simple DC motor. You can run the simulation. Okay, so this is the DC motor, and this is the motor load torque. So So now the motor is running, it's showing the torque as well as speed. It's showing the starting current and starting power as well. So you can see that at starting the motor current is very high. So the speed is low. Then the speed is stabilizing and the motor current becomes steady state and it's quite low. If you change the load torque, definitely the motor current will change as well. So you see, I'm increasing the motor load torque. So the motor load current is increasing now. Also, if I change the source voltage, then the motor parameters will change, the speed will change, the current will also change. So you can do any type of all kind of simulation here, whatever ideas or whatever circuit comes to your mind anytime, you can check it with this. I do whatever ideas come to my mind, I use it often. Like say for example, someday something came to my mind that we all know that DC motor, sorry, not for DC motor, all the motors, when the motors are running at low voltage, the motor will burn. But why is that? It doesn't make sense that if you run a motor at low voltage, why should it should run at low speed, but why should it burn? Why should the current increase in the motor? Then I run this simulation with different kind of motor and change the supply voltage, check it and see, yes, if you lower down the supply voltage, definitely the motor current will increase, because there's something which is not usually known, that the motor current is directly proportional to the load torque. So as long as the load torque remains constant, the motor will try to draw the same amount of current. And if you change the supply voltage, the motor will draw more current. It depends on the field flux. If it is self-excited motor, the response will be one kind, but if it is a separate excited motor, then it will be different. So these are the things you can always get clarified by yourself. Whatever circuit you want, whatever things playing into your mind, you can simulate always and check it. It's not, you no need to take it as an educational tool, rather take it as a fun tool. You can do a lot of fun, and simulating in this platform is quite funny. And another good thing is you can also simulate solar modules are available. So you can simply go here, renewable energy. You got this wind turbine model. So if you can give the wind speed here, pitch angle here, you can accordingly get the output. You can connect it mechanically with any shaft or any motor. Same goes for the solar PV model, physical model. So this is the thing. This is the solar radiation. You give the radiation with the temperature, accordingly you will get the output. It will exactly follow the solar cell characteristics. These are the parameters. You can always change it. And another most important thing is that you can do this, whatever you have done in this simulation platform, you can do it in the real life application as well. That's one of the best thing of this scene. I want to show one thing, that is SimCoder. Okay, so the SimCoder, this is a platform where you actually, whatever control algorithm you have designed here, you can transfer it into any hardware platform, like any microcontroller block. Not any, there are some defined version of them, like Texas Instrument FA2335, this target board. So these are the target board which you can use, and quite easily you can do this. So for example, I'm going for this. Okay, so this is a PWM generation with AD converter in continuous mode. So this is a control circuit. If you simply go SimCoder, set the target board and do the select the target board and generate the code. So what it will do, it will generate the necessary control code. Actually, it is a C code, C programming code for that target board. And what is this TI board? Actually, TI board I want to show you. TI. So this is the board. This is the target board. So it's not that much expensive. So whatever control algorithm we have built there, you can simply transfer that code into here, so that you don't need to worry about the control part. You just need to make the physical, the power circuit now, and can do the practical thing. Say for example, here in this circuit, this is my control circuit, this is my power circuit. So whatever control system I have designed here, this is thing. If you want to use a digital controller, then you have to write a C code into the microcontroller, which will replicate this kind of control signal manipulation. If it is not an analog controller, if it is a digital controller, you have to write code to do all these things. But this is called the visual programming. So you don't need to write the code. You have done this visual programming. Now you can easily transfer this visual program into the C code and just simply run the code into the target board. What you need to do, only simply construct this physical power circuit, and easily you can take the control signal from the target board and give it into this IGBT to make the things run. That's the thing, best thing you can do. So this is the target board. The different kind of target boards are available. So the PC, this version only supports this board, which I have shown here, this F8, this target board. But the latest version of PCM, they support a lot of varieties of board, which is very much easy. Also, another thing you can do, go to the elements, syncoder, no syncoder, control, other functions block, digital control module. So these are the digital control, different kind of blocks available here. Right now I cannot find it, but there's a C block available here as well, where you can simply write your C programming code. So you can give it a try later to find the block. So this will be simply block. This will be simply block like this. You double click it and it will give you a text script where you can write the code. What kind of signal generation you want, what kind of logic element you want. You simply write the code and take the output from this block and give it to your converter to run it in any way you want. So I guess already the time is up. So thank you for your patience. You have listened for long 2 hours for me. I don't know how much I could cover, but actually you could give it a try. You just give it a try and you can find a lot of videos, tutorial videos, and it's so much user friendly that you can do it yourself by yourself. You are yourself enough to learn this. That's the thing. And take it as a fun way. So I hope that's all from my side. Is there any question? Just ask me.
Thank you, sir, for your informative discussion. It's time for question answer session. If you have any question, you can either write it down in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask the speakers. You can speak in Bangla for your ease. I repeat, if you have any questions, you can ask the speaker now. Thank you, sir. I think that's it for them. I think with that, our today's program ends here. Thank you, our honorable presenter and all the guests for your valuable presence. This workshop will go on till 10th February. We have 2 more sessions tomorrow. Everyone is welcome to join our future sessions. On tomorrow, we are going to have a session on Python and FECO, CAST, and HFSS. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.